little less than our normal crowd, but for every one of you who are here, thank you. I do have the YouTube up, so I can see comments over there. Although it is not behaving. Let me see if I just need to refresh
Yeah,
it.
mine looks like it's buffering as well on YouTube, but
Yeah.
it says it's streaming okay,
All right. I'll give it another refresh here in a few minutes.
and the stream
Um,
health says good. So yeah, I agree it's kind of goofy, but I don't know why.
all right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. But to everybody who are here, welcome. Um, hopefully you guys can see us. My name's Josh. I'm Cujo. I think most everybody here has been to a meeting before. So, but if you haven't, just do the rounds with introductions. We also have Dan up there. Um, uh, and we got Dave down below, who's away from his normal streaming setup, but coming in loud and clear. So you're in Pennsylvania, Dan? Or Dave?
Well, in the outskirts of Philadelphia, yes, I am.
Perfect. So I did want to open up the show tonight with some information from DJI, and I'm going to see. Let me see if I can get this to work here. Here we go. So sharing my screen here is from DJI's actual website, not their store, but their actual company website. And if you search on their website for DJI Digital FPV system, you get this little pop-up that says that the DJI Digital FPV system is no longer in production. For the latest in DJI technology, please view our product recommendations below. All right. Yeah, it does seem to be pretty confused at the moment. I do have a little bit of an article from Drone DJ regarding this, and I'll drop that link in here. But I also have it up on my live view here. It says DJI's original FPV combo discontinued or updated. So they go over the same thing that I just went over. If you go to the old FPV system, you'll be greeted with the pop-up. And it says the wording isn't very clear. Are they abandoning their original FPV series? Is there an Air Unit V2 on the horizon? Earlier this year, DJI stopped producing the V1 FPV goggles in favor of the V2 FPV goggles, which are compatible with V1 Air units and Vistas. It stirred up some confusion, but quickly settled down once the DJI FPV drone leaks started surfacing. Caddx has made a statement on their Facebook page. They have reassured us that they will still be producing Vistas and Air units. They've also turned our attention towards a global chip shortage. This seems to be particularly a problem with imaging sensors, and some suppliers have told retailers to expect delays.
Yeah, I really think it's interesting how Caddx said they're going to continue making the Air units and Vistas, where I didn't really know that seems confusing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: is that Caddx has licensed that technology from DJI, right? So
yeah, but they don't make the Air units, or are they going to? Or yeah, what does that mean? Or is that just a poor translation?
It might be a poor translation kind of thing, where I mean they don't produce Air units themselves. They produce the Vistas, right? And is there a smaller version of the Vista? It's been a while since I've looked.
Well, there's a Vista that comes with different cameras. But yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So I don't have a DJI system, so I'm still flying analog. But it says, could DJI be working on their own version of the Vista, a smaller, lighter Air unit? Could the next version contain tech from their FPV drone? Or perhaps they've just stopped manufacturing the Air units themselves and are leaving it to third-party manufacturers like Caddx. Up until now, Caddx has only ever made the Vista, but in their Facebook post, they said they will continue to produce the Caddx Vista kit and Air unit. Obviously, they've reached out to DJI for comment and are awaiting response. They did say that DJI never comments on unreleased products, so it's tough to know for sure what this all means. Could there be a V2 Air Unit FCC leak in the days or weeks to come? It says we can't say for sure, but when we know, they'll tell you. So I would probably just keep an eye out on Drone DJ. They're usually pretty good at staying ahead on the news, and especially on some leak stuff that comes out of DJI. I've posted some of their stuff here before. So, I mean, I don't know what it means. Dave, you got some ideas on what's going on?
If I would add that, from a personal level, I'm cutting over to DJI Digital FPV, not the drone. And so if they do stop production on the version 1 of their system, that would be upsetting, and that would leave, I think, a lot of us stranded from a product perspective. And sure, we could figure out ways to make a V2 for enough money and re-kitting it into carbon fiber frames, but it would be frustrating. I also want to mention that while we're also looking and asking for comments on this, I just want to remind everyone that DJI has been steadfast in amazing support for recreational and small commercial. So they have helped us in FPVFC as well as small commercial folks. So we'll see what happens through this, and I'm hoping that they do create a future in the digital FPV. I thought the design slice of where they chose when they came out with the unit was brilliant to allow us to continue to use the frames and motors and flight controllers that we wanted to, as well as the ESCs, and then pick up their own C2 and video capability.
So yeah, I'd be very sad if they do actually discontinue it with no replacement in the future, but I'll also be happy to just keep flying what I have. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the units are still functional and you can still do what you need to do. Now, Dave, as somebody that comes from a big corporation, do you feel like the market share in FPV would be too small for a company like DJI to continue to produce this stuff?
It's on the edge. I mean, our estimates are around 200,000 total. So in order to produce a high volume ASIC, you want to see something in the millions of units, and we don't have that.
Right.
So it's the fact that they're probably able to reuse a lot of the flight controller hardware. That I have not taken the devices apart, but it would not surprise me that if portions of their printed circuit boards are identical from smaller to larger drones. That would just be good common sense.
It's possible they're using that same ASIC in the air unit that they're now using in the DJI drone or the FPV drone, potentially.
Exactly. And there are probably lots of components and components of software that they use in the Mavics as well.
Interesting. Elias says acquisition of Chinese UAS products are still restricted within the DoD except for a few specific applications.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So next, I have an article from Drone Life. I know Tyler posted about this. It was probably about a week or two ago. That he has moved forward and filed a lawsuit with the DC Circuit Court of Appeals, and this is an article from Drone Life regarding. It's an interview with Tyler and his attorney regarding what's going on, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this because obviously this is big news for FPV. So. I'm interested. I have not seen a brief come out yet in terms of specifically what they're going after, but this does answer some questions in regards to kind of what they're looking at. One of the questions down towards the bottom, and I apologize, I'm skipping through, a bunch of the regular stuff that a lot of us already know about remote ID. The interviewer, Don, says, fast forward to the final remote ID rule. It was released on the 28th of December, 2020, but officially published on the 15th of January, 2021 in the Federal Register. The network solution was scrubbed. What was your reaction? And Tyler responded, there was no logical A to B step from the NPRM to the final rule. We learned network ID was not ready yet, and that's why we got this rule that surprised everyone. It did not resemble what was originally proposed. We would have picked a broadcast solution, but nonetheless, it does not make what happened in the process okay. And then Jonathan, who's the attorney, says, my initial reaction was, this isn't so bad. What's the catch? The catch, as we later discerned, is that network ID is still coming and that it's still being developed. It just isn't ready yet. It will likely come back on the table. There's a lot we also don't know about how CBOs will be selected, how difficult it will be to obtain FRIA designations, how hard it'll be for manufacturers to obtain approvals to lawfully fly. We also don't know the real costs to the drone community in terms of economic impact. And Tyler says, again, FPV and hobbyists were not listened to. The issue still remains for the remote ID broadcast to be either hardwired or attached to the drone, and we'd still have to fly in FRIAs. So I think, I'm not sure. I think I see things a little differently from what Tyler's saying here. But at the same time, I see kind of where they're coming from in terms of the network solution was kind of left on the table in terms of it's an option down the road. And the FAA has even said such in their response.
And so many of
the remote ID
pieces of the remote ID have the disclaimer of not at this time kind of thing tagged onto them.
Exactly. And so I definitely see that as concerning. So, but I would like to see. Go ahead, Dave.
I believe some of the case that Tyler is bringing forward is that he rejects the entire notion of remote ID, and he's one of the primary grounds he's working on is a lack of constitutionality of remote ID. Our view is that those are long shots, and we point to the work that we've done and the success we've had in moving and changing regulations with a more collaborative approach. In addition, the notion of network wasn't ready. That doesn't play with what I know, what I've been working on. I mentioned I signed up to be a member of the ASTM, American Society Tables and Measures, and that's an international standards organization, and where I'm helping out on the remote ID standard, which will be updated and provided to the FAA, which will make it easier. It will become a means of compliance, and so creating a remote ID module or a drone will then only be required to come up with a declaration of compliance. So the standard and a lot of work was done and was certainly ready, and coming up with a network technology for remote ID was not difficult. It's certainly within the technology of today. What is out in time is an unmanned traffic management network, and that is where we definitely see some type of network capability, and it could be a combination of RID that's a beacon, and then the beacon is picked up and then put into a network so that people across the network have an understanding of where a variety of drones are, not just drones within the radius of the beacon that produces the IRD signal. So we'll see what happens with race day quads. We certainly have taken a different approach.
Did you see that were on they did a live stream Q&A with SUAS News last week?
I did see that they did that. I didn't have a chance to watch it.
And I also know that Joshua Bardwell interviewed, I think, both of them as well. Though I don't think he's posted that video yet, but he said it was coming soon.
Okay.
Very good. We'll look for that.
Absolutely. I will say, we do, I don't feel at this point that remote ID is, it's definitely an about face for what we were expecting. And I don't feel like it's onerous on its face. But at the same time, we do, wish Tyler luck with what he's doing. And if it yields results, fantastic. and we do appreciate that. So this, let's see. I keep forgetting to link some of these for direct access to people.
Yeah, so what's up next?
All right, so we have the MCSO unveils a new drone unit, the newest tool in the fight against crime. So this comes out of Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office has a new tool in the fight against crime. Deputies debuted their drone unit on Tuesday, March 23rd. 2 new drones owned by the Sheriff's Department are taking flight. Let's say there's a fleeing subject and the drone was in the air. You can track that fleeing subject with the drone. Now officers can safely get to that person. Tuesday's demonstration shows how drones will be used on the job. Now with the technology, we're able to see someone in the back corner. Body heat scans can alert deputies if someone is hiding in the dark or behind doors. The Mavic 2 Enterprise is your new ally in the sky. 8 pilots staff the Milwaukee County Sheriff's drone unit. Sergeant Bilda is their commander. He said each drone costs $4,000. They can travel 45 miles an hour, 400 feet in the air, and can be flown from 5 miles away. We want to increase officer safety by utilizing the drones to map crime scenes, crash scenes, and providing overall aerial view of developing incident in real time.
Do they have their beyond visual line of sight waiver?
And I was just going to mention that as, as a caveat to this. I don't know that they're going to be flying these 5 miles away.
If they do, they've got really good eyes.
Right. We want to increase officer safety by utilizing the drones to map crime scenes, crash. I think I covered that. So one of the things I see, and I don't have a link to it, but I saw it earlier this week and I forgot to save it, was there's an increased push for like a no warrant, no drone kind of thing. And I've talked to police specifically here in the Phoenix area that would put a drone as an extension of the officer's eyes. And I forget what the term is. I'm sorry, I'm not in law enforcement, but I think it's basically like what's in plain sight or plain view. And when you start extending the officer's what's in plain view range, you start to get a little murky in terms of what's possible.
Yeah, and like TechJet said there was a recent, I don't know what happened, but the police used a drone to catch somebody doing something, and they decided it was not admissible in court because there was no search warrant.
Exactly. So, and I've been seeing this kind of stuff going around, but in terms of, I would, kind of as a second point, I would presume far beyond now that using like a drone to map a accident or, God forbid, something tragic like a bombing or, maybe a shooting or something like that to map evidence at a high definition. A drone would come into, a massive amount of use. And be a very unique tool to be able to. That's the video. Thank you, TextJet. I appreciate that. And I've also thought that tracking a subject through public streets and whatnot would be a good use. But at the same time, it would be interesting to figure out see the legalities that some of these police organizations are dropping through. It says, Bilda says the drones will never be used to violate someone's Fourth Amendment rights to privacy. But it'll be interesting as some of these court cases with the use of drones start coming in. So, all right. Go ahead.
One of the things that working on some of the Drone Advisory Committee tasking groups, the latest one on improving situational awareness and flying at low altitude, had the pleasure of working with law enforcement helicopter officers from Florida, Texas, as well as the Coast Guard, a senior member in the Coast Guard, and all three of these gentlemen have worked in combination with drones and helicopters. And so their perspective is fantastic, and they are all very supportive of not just commercial or public safety drones, but also recreational. So it's a nice breath of fresh air that we're working with folks who are very, very serious, and some are medevac, and some are law enforcement, including search and rescue, and of course rescues with the Coast Guard, and they are very knowledgeable as well as very supportive of recreational. So a nice, when we see articles about law enforcement, it's nice behind the scenes they're also spending time with us working on the DAC and DAC tasking groups.
Excellent. All right, so this comes from the Business Wire. And UAVionics, somebody that we've talked about for a while. They were one of the initial, I would say, advocates for remote ID. They are part of the commercial, at least they were. If they still are, I haven't checked, but we're a part of the Commercial Drone Alliance. They produced the Ping, which was thought to be, one of the first solutions for a remote ID, which was about I think it was a 5-gram ADS-B unit. Obviously, we now know that ADS-B will not be the solution of choice for remote ID. However, they have received Department of Defense AIM certification for their friend or foe transmitter. I'm not going to go super into depth on this. This would be a military-grade application for drones, and let's see. So it's a friend or foe, basically transponder, and it's basically going in as the smallest, lightest, and most powerful solution to come out for a military-grade application for a friend or foe transponder. In the XJet, in the case of drones, it always says foe because the papers. Yeah, absolutely. So, so it enables friend or foe capability for small and tactical group UAS. Thanks for record-breaking swap technology. It comes in at 60 grams and a power consumption of 3.5 watts. So yeah, it's very interesting that for me, UAVionics is both in the seems to be in the commercial and the DoD space. This right here,
that's a cool
volcanic eruption in Iceland. So this comes from the BBC. Just pop this on here real quick.
That's not the cool video. That's not the FPV one.
Not. Okay, find me the FPV one, Dan.
Have you seen that one where the DJI FPV drone flies and through the eruption?
I think I saw parts of it, but I didn't see the full thing. But still pretty cool either way. Let's see if you can find me the video, and I'll definitely play it. XJet, Freewell have just announced that they're adding lava filters to their lineup. All right, so while Dan's finding that one, this is one that I am.
Well, how about trying to pronounce the name of that volcano?
Yeah, no, not going to try that.
So many consonants together.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, someone explained it really simple. It's like beautiful forest park, 3 words mushed together in their language, and it works great. But if you don't know Icelandic, yeah,
no.
So one of, I think there were 2 videos, but this is one of them.
Did you link it there?
It's in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. Let me.
Sounds like in Wales. So yeah. Yep.
Let's see. That's a.
I think that's a YouTube link.
Need. What? No, that's not what I need. I want this link. Copy link. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah, I've seen parts of this.
Yeah, somebody else, I think Bruce even said this. Now I'm just waiting for a volcano near me so I can use my DJI drone.
Right?
But this shot right there.
Oh, jeez. I'm telling you, if you're willing to sacrifice a drone, though, diving into that thing would be cool. All right, so let me pause that. This is one that I am waiting. I've been waiting for a long time. NASA preps for the first Martian drone helicopter flight.
Oh yeah, have they not done that flight yet?
No, they have not. So NASA plans to make its first attempt to fly the Ingenuity Mars helicopter no earlier than April 8th, making it the first controlled flight of an aircraft on another planet. Currently, the 4-pound rotorcraft remains attached to the belly of NASA's Perseverance rover, which touched down on Mars on February 18th. Earlier this week, the rover deployed the guitar case-shaped graphite composite debris shield that protected Ingenuity during landing. Perseverance is in transit on Mars to a flat area where it will attempt to fly. When deployed, Ingenuity will have 30 Martian days to conduct its test flight. So super interested on this. Yeah, I think it's got a super short flight time, and you want to talk about some lag going on with control there. That's going to be some impressive signal quality there. So
fully autonomous.
No, right.
No lag. 10 minute cycle on that.
It's going to be crazy. 90 Earth seconds. There you go. Yeah, but Martian minutes are shorter than Earth minutes. Thank you for this. That's awesome. So NASA said flying on Mars is harder than on Earth because the red planet has significant gravity, but its atmosphere is just 1% as dense as Earth's at the surface. During the day, the surface receives only about half the amount of solar energy that reaches the Earth during the day and nighttime. Can drop as low as 90 degrees.
Several over magnitude 5, so this has been very unusual. And
I got some kind of
weird
is that
sound
coming
from you?
Computer. Oh, there we go. Let me just close that. As with everything with the helicopter, this type of deployment has never been done before. All activities are closely coordinated, irreversible, and dependent on each other. If there's even a hint that something isn't going as expected, we may decide to hold off for a sol or more until we have a better idea of what's going on. Deployment will take about 6 days, with the team on Earth activating a bolt-breaking device that releases a locking mechanism to hold the helicopter in place during launch and landing. So those will be explosive bolts, so chances that will go as planned. Let's see, next, a cable-cutting pyrotechnic device will be used, and a mechanized arm that holds Ingenuity will begin rotating the helicopter out of its horizontal position, allowing the drone to extend to its 4 landing legs. On the 3rd day of deployment, a small electric motor will finish rotating Ingenuity, bringing the helicopter vertical, and on the 4th day, the final 2 landing legs will snap into position. Oh my God, doing this over days would absolutely, I don't have any hair, but I'd pull what's left of it out.
So who's going to edit this into something that we can actually watch in an hour?
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Once we cut the cord with Perseverance and drop those final 5 inches to the surface, we want to have our big friend drive away as quickly as possible so we can get the sun rays on our solar panel and begin recharging our batteries. And on the final day, the team will confirm that all 4 legs are on the Martian surface, that the rover did drive about 16 feet away, and that both the helicopter and the rover are communicating via onboard radios. God help me, I hope they all practice this about 500,000 times here on Earth. Because I want this to be amazing. This is going to be something I watch with bated breath to make sure this goes well. And all the power to the folks at NASA to get this done and make it awesome. So,
is that a coaxial rotorcraft?
What's that?
Is that a coaxial rotorcraft I'm seeing there?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And I know its prop is relatively large, just because to deal with the significantly less atmospheric density.
TechShed, I'm pretty sure they're outside the FAA's reach there.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, there's nobody, no airplanes to run into, so it's fine. Everything's fine. All right,
clear it by Tesla first.
Right.
They didn't give a dimension on the props, did they? Or
not in this article. I think I've seen it in another one. Okay. But I've brought up Ingenuity a couple of times here in the show. Just because I'm super excited about it. So,
have you heard about Dragonfly?
No.
Rotor length about a meter. So
yeah.
For those of us in SAE, 39.37 inches.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, Aubrey. Yeah.
All right, so that's all on the news today. So some interesting stuff and some exciting stuff and some strange stuff. So kind of fits the categories of all the things. Dan, how we doing on our trust application?
Yeah, that was one piece of news we could share, that we have sent in an email to the FAA applying for to be a trust administrator, or what do they call it, the TA of trust or something like that. And a couple days later, we received an email just saying we received your application. And the application process is open till the end of the month, and then I think by the end of April they'll let us know, if we've been selected and how to continue from there. So not a whole lot of information. We filled out the form, we sent it to them, they got it, and they say they will respond someday.
The old wait and see.
But it is nice that they did reply to let us know that they did get our message.
Yeah. And the type of questioning system, SCORM, is it? Or what's the technology?
A SCORM compliant learning management system, correct. They'll create this file which has all the questions in it, send it to us, and then our learning management system has to know how to read that file and make it into a test.
So this is an interesting culling for, if someone wants to just be an administrator of the knowledge exam, they need to have skills in this technology, and we're fortunate, thanks with Dan's skills, that we do. So we'll see what happens, and it should also be interesting to see who else submits an application, and the test will be free, and it's a take it once, and that's it for life.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's you won't fail, and so it had to be called a test, but it's it's not a tough test. So it's something that we wanted to offer and to make it easier for our members and our non-members, and so we'll see how this goes.
Oh, the other thing is, I think if we are selected, we'll probably know ahead of time, but we can't say anything until the FAA announces who all has been selected.
Yep. Normal.
Yeah. So this has been a process for over a year now, going through this process with them. Not the application, but we were involved in the first round, kind of fact-finding meetings and whatnot.
Did they call them cohort meetings or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, pre-pandemic, January 14, 2020, we were in DC. With 11 other companies.
Yeah, I think DRL was there. Was Horizon there? Embry-Riddle
was there. Embry-Riddle, King Hobbies, Drone Institute, I believe.
Pilot Institute
Camper,
or Drone Institute.
Yeah. I'm now, and now can't remember the rest of the folks sitting around the table.
It was about 12 or 15 of them. It was,
a lifetime ago.
Yeah. So
X-Jet's joking about the DJI FPV drone, but I could totally see that they would put this test in either the app or in the goggles or something, and you'd have to pass this test or something before you can fly.
Yeah, DJI has been known to do it. So, all right. And Dave, any updates from the DAC?
The next Drone Advisory Committee will be on or around 23 June, and we'll be presenting the DAC tasking group number 9, which is how do we improve situational awareness for both manned and unmanned and at low altitudes. And so good piece of work. We're on the third subgroup, which was tasked to think out of the box. And so it's a great group of people we're working with, and we've got recommendations we're working on now, and they're tuning, vetting, charts, and written report. So we'll get that whipped up. In addition, the next DAC tasking group is kicked off, and interestingly, I have some skills that can play in this one, and that's 4 decades of corporate experience in management. And this tasking group is recommend to the FAA what the aviation community and the FAA might consider for changes to be more gender neutral in our language. And so this, to me, is a very positive thing. I have the privilege of tutoring a friend of the family, a little girl who is 7 years old in math. And it's great to see the world through the eyes of kids. So to me, a lot of what we're working on in things that are gender neutral are encouraging particularly young women and girls to think about STEM education and STEM careers. So it's a touchy subject, and there'll be a lot of comments, I'm sure, but this is an area that's serious, and it'll help daughters and granddaughters and women throughout. So this is a good project.
Excellent. All right, so I think that's all I've got. I do want to thank Dan and Dave and Alex for taking over the last town hall meeting. I had some personal business come up at literally the last second. That was unexpected, and they took over for me without a hitch. So thank you. I appreciate that. I know that was probably a little stressful. So
don't get used to it.
We learn to appreciate you even more, Josh.
I know,
exactly.
Hey, I love doing these town halls. So, but I do appreciate you jumping in. I really kind of pushed it to the last second. Like, can I do it? Can I do it? I'm not sure. I can't do it. So I got to text Dave. So, but I love doing these guys. So, I want to be here with you guys and going over this stuff. It's just a lot of fun. So, but thank you for doing that. All right, so I'm going to open it up to comments or questions. If anybody's got any comments, questions, ideas, concerns, thoughts.
What are we expecting next from the FAA that we need to worry about?
I think the big things that we'd be looking out for is, number one, the recreational exam and when that goes live. The biggest thing I think I'm looking forward to is CBOs and when they determine what that process is going to be. Yeah.
And beyond visual line of sight regulations.
Yes. Those would all be things there. So
soon, imminent, right around the corner.
Yeah. So, and I did see that, and I know this has gone kind of back and forth a couple of times, and Dave, you might be able to help me with this, but I did see an article that says they did postpone by a couple of days the regulations going into effect for remote ID and flight over people. And I know we talked about this before, and then I saw an article from 2 days ago saying that they have. So
yeah, we talked about it a little bit last meeting, I think, when you weren't there.
One of the FAA folks said that it's a 36-day delay, and the endpoints are not delayed, and so they just compressed that interim period. Okay. And it did strike me as, how do you do that when the effective dates were targeted to this start date, and then you count 30 months or n number of months, and that's the effective date? And so the way they got around that was, well, the official announcement date was, they didn't move that. They just created some delays within the system. So
gotcha.
There was a delay, and that also put off the one that was annoying to folks.
Flight over people,
and also that allowed for the renewal of Part 107.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a Part 107, now you can do it online, and the price is $0, which is a very nice thing.
Yeah.
So that's an improvement.
And that gets to Bruce's question asking about how's the renewals for registration going, and how there was that sort of a little bit of a window where they weren't sure if you could get your Part 107 or get your renewal, and the whole delay was part of that.
So the renewals of recreation as well as 107 are not going well. It's at about 50%. So this is not good. The FAA has pointed to a number of potential reasons for this, but it's absolutely a
I was going to say, unless you're Bruce and then you think it is good.
Right.
Depends on which side you're on.
It's a double-edged sword, I think. I mean, for one perspective that I have is that the less renewals you have, the more I think the FAA could get away with not respecting the opinions of recreational people, because they can point to the data and say, nobody's registering. That means we don't have as many recreational flyers as we thought. Therefore, we can just focus on dealing with these companies and organizations and corporations and that kind of stuff, which is not the path that we want to go down. On the flip side, I think that, people not registering is kind of like a snub to the FAA. I get it. I know that people are still a little upset regarding remote ID, and I don't begrudge anybody that. But at the same time, we need to be careful on what that means for the FAA and how their interaction with our community can be taken. So, it is a double-edged sword. At least I see it. If I'm wrong or you feel I'm wrong, let me know. So it's just a thought. So let's see what else we have.
John Solo asks, when is the new information, questions on night flying and flights over people, being included in the Part 107 test? I was pretty sure that was going to be included as of March 16, and so that might get pushed 36 days, but it's in the next batch, and so it's either now or within approximately 1 month from now.
All right, so we have Part 107 renewal is $160, and the full test, that's the problem. I was under the impression with the new stuff that they were including in there, the recurrent was going to be free. Yes?
Correct. Okay. The renewal is free. The 107 is still $160.
Yeah, the initial 107.
Initial, yeah. And the renewal is as of today. That's true, but within a small number of weeks, the renewal will be free and available online.
All right. I'm not getting any audio. I hope can everybody still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
I think I lost everybody.
Us, huh?
I'm going to keep talking, and if I see your face moving, then I'll stop talking. So Bruce says, but the value of drone flyer voices is already highly discounted. We exceed manned aviation, but have far less say. I would agree to a certain point, but at the same time, I think that I was very heartened to see all of the positive comments that we got in relation to the comments on the NPRM for remote ID. So I feel like, the 50,000, comments that not only us, but everybody submitted, I feel like our voices were heard. And I feel like that's the kind of response that we as a community need to have on everything that is put forth that endangers and engages with our hobby. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, we need to let them know. So I feel like that response, while it was highly organized among several different FPV communities, including ours, and several different Part 107 operator communities. I think that kind of collaborative effort needs to be for everything that the FAA puts out for us. Let's see. Bureaucrats will tell you what you want to hear. It's what they do, not what they say. And that's very true, And again, I feel like this time around, I feel like what they did was a lot better than what they initially said. So let's see. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, anything else they want to bring up? Oh, I see what you're saying, TextJet. So what I meant is that it used to be the renewal costs $160 to take the test. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think at the same time we're talking about not only that, but the renewal of the hobbyist registration. So I'm gonna hang on.
Right. I think he's. Oh, there we lost.
He's gonna see if he can get his audio back. Would be my guess.
All right, back. I got everybody. Woohoo!
You can hear us again?
Yes.
Excellent.
Turn on my camera.
And there's
here.
The video back.
Yay! All right. Let's see. Yeah, we were talking part 107 and we were talking recreational. I apologize for the confusion, TextJet. Let's see. All right, what else? Anybody else have anything?
Feel free to speak up.
Yep. All right, well,
seems like ever since we've started putting our faces on here, people don't want to talk in the chat anymore, in the audio. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, it's weird because we were recording them before, and the only difference is that
scary.
our faces are on the screen. Nobody else's is, right? So, feel free to speak up, guys. It's not,
It's supposed to be a community meeting. We're supposed to be talking back and forth, and if we got questions, we're supposed to answer them, but...
and we want to hear from you. That's definitely an important factor.
You're somewhat right. People are just tired of FAA and regulations and just want to ignore it and go fly.
Yes, but at the same time, I don't want anybody getting in trouble for something simple. So I do highly recommend that you at least fly safely. All right. So with that, guys, thank you for coming this evening. I know I call this a show, but as Dan said, we do want this to be a community interactive kind of session. So if you've got questions, if you've got comments, bring them. We're never opposed to talking about anything here as it relates to FPV and the FPV community. So we thank you for joining. Again, thank you to the guys for taking over for me last week. And thank you for your support. And we'll see you in another couple of weeks.
Yep. See you guys all in 2 weeks.
Have a great night, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.